But I do want to talk about Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley is being slammed, and he's being slammed by black people for not being on their side in this whole Breonna Taylor case. We have this Daily Mail article. We're going to play this clip. It says, her boyfriend shot a cop. Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal are attacked on social media for defending police officers who killed Breonna Taylor and blaming her boyfriend who opened fire first. Now, a bunch of people are calling them skin folk, but not kinfolk. Do you guys remember that from yesterday when we went through the NBC's legal analyst? Remember what she said? That Daniel Cameron, the black Republican, who decided not to bring charges against the cops, or very minuscule minor charges against the police in the Breonna Taylor shooting. Remember what this NBC legal analyst called him? She said he's skin folk, but not kinfolk, meaning, and we're just adding on to this whole ethnic conflict and what this means for America, meaning that you're not black unless you support the black criminal, no matter what they do. Jacob Blake raped a kid, raped a teenager. This guy in Lancaster tried to stab a police officer. It's right there on the body camera footage. Breonna Taylor's drug dealer boyfriend, one of two drug dealer boyfriends, as she's involved in this drug trafficking ring, shot at police first. It doesn't matter. If you're black, you should be supporting black people.
Let me say this as a black woman. He does not speak for black folks. He's skin folk, but he is not kinfolk. And so just like he thinks they can't speak for Kentucky because he's up there with a black face, he does not speak for all of us. This was not a tragedy. This was a murder. He should be ashamed of himself.
Daniel Cameron is no different than the sellout Negroes that sold our people into slavery and helped white men to capture our people, to abuse them and to traffic them while our women were raped, while our men were raped by savages.
Doesn't matter what they do. They didn't do nothing. That's the meme, but it's true, right? The didn't do nothing meme, that's absolutely true. And that's what they mean here when they say you're skin folk but not kinfolk for admitting the truth. And so it says Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal have been criticized on social media after being accused of defending Louisville police officers who killed Breonna Taylor and blaming the black EMT's boyfriend for opening fire first. First of all, they keep calling this chick an EMT. I believe she was fired from her job. Is that correct? I could be wrong on that. Number one. Number two, there was a dead body found in a car that she rented out. And she's involved in this. Let's call her a drug dealer. She's not an EMT. She's a drug dealer. Blaming the black drug dealer, her boyfriend, for opening fire first. Barkley and O'Neal were discussing Taylor's death and the decision not to indict officers in her killing during the TNT pregame show ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers versus Denver Nuggets game on Thursday. Barkley argued that Taylor's death couldn't be compared to the police killing of black man George Floyd. There's a little bit of questions around that too. Maybe he doesn't. He's not ready to admit the truth on that yet, or doesn't know. Who knows? I feel that this young lady lost her life. I think the no-knock warrant is something we need to get rid of across the board. But we have to take into consideration that her boyfriend shot at cops first. And by the way, this is only partially the truth here, because the no-knock warrant is null and void when you consider the fact that they knocked very loudly. They announced themselves as police officers on multiple occasions, according to witnesses in and around the apartment complex. O'Neal agreed and argued the officers involved were simply doing their job on a warrant signed by the judge. Yeah, her name was on the warrant because she was involved in this drug trafficking thing too. But I'll play this clip for you guys here, so take a listen.
Just bad the young lady lost her life. But, we do have to take into account that her boyfriend did shoot at the cops and shot a cop. So, like I say, even though I'm really sorry she lost her life, I don't think that we can just say we can put this in the same situation with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. I just don't believe that.
So that's the clip there. We're going to look at the reaction to this. It says A grand jury's decision to indict one officer, Brett Hankinson, on wanton endangerment charges because his bullets were fired into a neighbor's apartment came after a 6-month investigation carried out by Cameron's office. Barkley and O'Neill immediately came under fire on social media for their comments as they were accused of defending the police. One person branded them skinfolk, not kinfolk. I wonder where they got that from. Charles and Shaq both throwing black women under the bus. One account with the username Justice for Breonna Taylor wrote, "Shame. I used to be a fan." Not all skinfolk is kinfolk. Shaq, Charles Barkley, lost much respect for Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal today regarding their comments regarding the murder of Breonna Taylor. So it's okay for some people to protect themselves, but not okay for others. And so Herb Jones, a former Democrat candidate for the Virginia Senate, added, lost much respect for Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal today regarding their comments regarding the murder of Breonna Taylor. During the same show, Barkley also spoke out on calls by the protesters to defund the police, cautioning against knee-jerk responses to cop killings. He argued that defunding cops will mean officers being removed from white neighborhoods, leaving black ones unprotected. Well, I think what they mean here in this article, this is probably a misprint here, but what they mean to say is that officers will be moved to white areas, leaving black ones unprotected. And this is absolutely what's happening. Who are the black folks supposed to call, he said? The Ghostbusters? Pretty funny. Pretty funny statement there. But yeah, I mean, this is something I went over briefly yesterday. Some of the effects of the Black Lives Matter movement. And how they've gained so much success using violence. And as Tucker Carlson says, violence works. Police retiring at highest rates, police transferring at highest rates, arrests down, police fired, crime surging, violent criminals not charged, violent criminals released back onto the streets, businesses leaving, taxpayers leaving, less taxes collected, less public services, lower quality police being hired because of a shortage, thousands more blacks dying because of less police presence. I mean, this is absolutely a fact. If we look at the decrease in police activity in certain areas because of the anti-police rhetoric, this happened in 2015 following the Black Lives Matter surge back then as well. And then we compare this to the crime surge, and even without the coronavirus, so we have data to sort of compare and contrast to pre-coronavirus, post-coronavirus, the results are the same. More black people lose their lives because black people are going to shoot other black people at higher rates when there is no police presence. And this is what we mean when we say that the police are going to be moved to white areas, meaning transferring at the highest rates ever in recorded history in America, retiring at the highest rates ever in recorded history in America, leaving the black areas unprotected. But honestly, a lot of people have just called for this. You know, I'm entirely sick of this. The police should just, let's do a social experiment. We've done lots of social experiments throughout history. Let's do a social experiment. Let's do a social experiment where the police completely pull out of every black neighborhood of the country and move to the white neighborhoods and start policing white people who don't commit crimes, largely, or commit crimes at a far lower rate as far as white non-Hispanic people are concerned. Let's see what happens. What do you think's going to happen? Well, in addition to abortions higher than the rate of birth in states like New York, blacks will kill each other at such a rate that the population will decrease substantially like we've never seen before. And then what will happen? Well, blacks will be begging for police to come back. Hundreds of billions of dollars in damage, less jobs in black communities because businesses are leaving. And when we talk about taxpayers, they're largely the white people and the Asian people, who are the only two groups of people who pay more into the system than they use, mostly white people, though. Attempted police assassinations, successful police assassinations, if we go back to 2015. Police officers shot and paralyzed from neck down by rioters. That's the Las Vegas cop. Highest violent crime rate since the 1990s. In many cities across the country. And so this is what Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley are referring to when they say that who are the black people going to call? The Ghostbusters? When he asked this question. This is absolutely correct. But of course, they're being slammed on social media and in public for going against the black criminal. And we played a couple of clips, I think, a couple of days ago. Andy No posted these clips. A couple of other people posted these clips. And these are from a variety of different protests, not just one single protest. But across many protests, across many cities, we have heard chants that call for protecting black criminals. Verbatim, that's a quote. That's what they're chanting. Who do we protect? Black criminals. Who do we protect? Black criminals. That's what they're chanting in many cities across the country right now. And that's what they're doing. That's what Black Lives Matter is advocating for. By the way, not sure if you saw this or not, the Black Lives Matter website, the foundation website, they deceptively edited their About Us page, where it used to say that we advocate for the destruction of the Western prescribed nuclear family, mother, father, children, and now they've taken that part out along with a bunch of other rhetoric that is very communist in nature, where they talk about, they mention comrades quite often throughout various sentences and various paragraphs. They talk about a community can only raise a child. You know, these are very Marxist statements. This is Marxist rhetoric. They have removed that from their website, and they didn't tell anyone though. So, you know, if you're going to argue this in public, if you're going to talk about this with friends, you know, just make sure that you have the screenshots and the receipts and the archived link of this. There are archived links of that out there. My goal is to eventually become a powerhouse of truth. That is why it is imperative that you check the links in the description below and go to either Patreon and Subscribestar and support us for at least the cost of a cup of coffee a month. We already have writers writing for TheRedElephants.com, but we'd like to bring on more in the near future. By the way, at TheRedElephants.com, you can also find t-shirts, hats, and other products. Check the links in the description below. It helps us out tremendously.